All right. We are back. Another edition of Conversations with Casey. Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm here with Stephany, aka Dr. Stephany Coakley, and she's an LPC, CMPC, and the Senior Associate Athletic Director for Mental Health, Wellness, and Performance at none other than my alma mater, Temple, baby. Let's go.
Let's
Philly,
go.
Philly, Philly. Steph, thanks for being a part of the conversation. I'm curious because years ago, you created something that was super impactful at Temple with just the platform, mental health and athletics. But I kind of want to go back to like before getting involved in what you do. Like, what was your starting point, right? Like, whether as a student or like what drew your interest in like the whole area of mental health, and then how that segue into athletics.
All right. Well, that's a big question, and I'll do my very best to answer. But first, I'd like to say thanks, Casey, for the invitation to participate this afternoon. And this is something I'm extremely passionate about. I've always wanted to be a therapist. I've always wanted to be a clinician, at least since 11 years old, right? So, and I often tell people I wanted to be what I did not have. And that's a story for another time. But as we know, there's a lot of stigma associated with mental health. And let's go 40 years ago, it was worse. And everybody should have a place where they can go to be supported, heard, and helped through any kind of a challenge. So that's my first starting point. But like many people in the field of sport and performance psychology, we come at this from a lot of different angles. I started out as a pure mental health clinician in Philadelphia, working inpatient, outpatient, community mental health. You name it, I've done it. And you that work is very rewarding, but it's really challenging. It's difficult. It definitely is draining. And I took a break because, I didn't know at the time, I think, but I was getting burned out and decided to pivot. And I pivoted into sports psych, like many of us in the field. We took our two passions, we married them, and we made a career out of it. Prior to my time at Temple, I worked for the Army right out of grad school, out of my PhD program. That was another very rewarding part of my career. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I worked with the Army for 10 years, and that helped me really put the pieces together that formed TU well. Because I had the mental health side. I've done it all in mental health, so I know what that looks like, and I've done it with the Army, the mental performance. So I kind of put all those things together, and that's how TU Well was founded
Wow.
back in 2017.
Wow. And then, yeah, yesterday was Memorial Day. So shout out to all the veterans out there too.
Absolutely.
I feel like there's a lot of parallels, or at least from what I understand, between like the athletics realm
Yeah.
and either current military or former military, and just, transition with whether it's like identity, whether it's like, like second career. Have you seen like parallels between those two worlds?
Absolutely. I did my dissertation on sport career transition.
Mm.
And when I did my dissertation, there wasn't a lot of research on sport career transitions. People didn't really think about athletes after they retired from their careers as professional or Division I athletes. So there wasn't a lot of research, and so I used research from the military. Unbeknownst to me that I would work with the military like 4 years later. But so the parallels, there are many, right? There's like this extreme physically demanding nature of both jobs. There is definitely a hierarchy that must be followed, right? You have coach, assistant coaches, um, other assistant coaches, and then here's the student athlete. And sometimes a student athlete doesn't really talk to the head coach often, similar to like a cadet's not talking or a private's not talking to a general, right? So there's a hierarchy. There's a lot of sacrifices that are made. People miss out on a lot of other parts of their life. And then there's this extreme dedication to the craft, whether it's to being a soldier or whether it's to being a lacrosse player. Like you have to devote a lot of time to both pursuits. And of course, there's the risk of injury. There's also this whole notion of early, like your career, you've had it planned to be a soldier for 30 years and then retire, and then you get injured and you're no longer a soldier. Same with being an athlete. You might come to college to play for 4 years, you get injured, now you're no longer a student athlete. So, like that termination of career unexpectedly, like these are all many other parallels that I've observed and had to talk about with both groups. And it's interesting. Soldiers love to talk about athletes, like Muhammad Ali. They like to use those metaphors and those examples. And then same with athletes. Athletes love to talk about like we're going to war, we're fighting, like we're playing a game, but like to use some of the language from the military. So a lot of parallels.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I never thought about that, but just putting on my coaching hat for a minute, I do remember, like, it does come up a lot, right? It's like locker room talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The other thing too is I think about like toughness, right? We always talk about on both like parallels between the world of athletics and the military. It's always like this almost like a shell, I guess
like
you could
armor.
say, like toughness, the armor. Yeah. And then Philadelphia, like, is, I think, one of the cities that embodies that too. Like, you have to be tough. Like, it's the city of brotherly love. But then anyone who's ever visited the city of brotherly love, there's love there, but it's tough. There's a lot of grit.
It's blue collar. It's a blue collar town. I mean, you talked about grit, like the mascot is gritty. Like, let's just call it what it is, right? So yes, there is a lot of love, but there is people here are fiercely passionate about a lot of things. So yeah. So yeah, that tough exterior for both soldiers and like it seems like the expectation. And if you were to show or demonstrate anything other than that, it may not be accepted. That's changing a little bit, but
did you find anything either research wise or just kind of along your journey that surprised you? Like, oh, I didn't know this was a thing, or, kind of diving in the world of military. Like, if you're not of that world, it could almost seem foreign to you, right? Just like someone who steps into the world of athletics, it's like athletes, coaches, they have kind of their own language, right?
Absolutely. It is a competency, right? You have to, it's important to know what it's like to live in a soldier or a student athlete or an athlete's shoes. I came to the military work green. I mean, like Kermit the Frog green. I'm from the Bahamas. I think I might have known like actual 2 other real soldiers before I started working for the Army. And it was a steep learning curve for all of us, like for many of us. They call us civilians, right? Civilians working with soldiers, but the learning curve was steep. But because you're like embedded and you're immersed, I wouldn't say embedded. We weren't really embedded, but we worked on an installation. So immersed in military culture, like you couldn't help but begin to like embody it and appreciate it and understand it in a way that if I didn't go there to a military base every day and saw uniforms with different, like the ranks are on the chest. And if I wanted to greet somebody, I needed to know what rank so I had to learn the ranks. Had the Army's full of acronyms. So many. And so having to learn APFT, like what that means, or PCS or MOS, like there's just so many. So it's important but like I said, I came green, but you have to you hit the ground running. You had no choice. And with sport, it's kind of a similar thing. Like you need to understand, like they can't just not go to practice. Like they have to go to practice. That's something that they have committed to if they're well, right, physically and mentally. Like they, it's not, you can't just not show up. There's no such
Yeah.
really thing as a sick day or
Right.
vacation day.
No days off, right?
No, I mean, yes, but no.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, yeah, so like that competency, like I think it's important, especially when you're doing this work, to, if you don't know it, it's okay. I didn't know anything about the military when I got in there, but it's important to be willing to learn and not
Mhm.
try to like change,
Yeah.
like change like the culture, like learn the culture, um, and be invested in learning what your clients' lives are about.
There seems to be, from what I understand, it seems to be a theme with like cultures, right? Like you have military culture, you have athletics culture, even like in the world of like health professionals, you have like they have their own culture, right? And so
Mhm.
it's interesting that there could be a lot of silos, right? And so I think what even just the past couple of years, not even decade, we've seen kind of an overlap of like these cultures come together, right?
Mhm.
And obviously like health and wellness in the athletics world. What what does that look like? Because you've been, I guess, on the front lines of like merging these worlds when you put
Mhm.
together like TU well, right?
Mhm.
And that program. But then you're also part of like other organizations, right? ASP or APA, American Psychology Association.
Mhm.
So how have you kind of bridged those gaps between those cultures?
Well, I'll start with like trying to bridge the gap between hardcore athletics and then here comes this mental health and wellness stuff that wasn't really like they didn't talk about it. It was kind of like in the military, rub some dirt on it, and like carry on, similar to athletics. And coming into TUL, I'm forever grateful to all my ADs. I've had 3 ADs since I've been in this role, and all of them extremely supportive of the role that myself and then the rest of the team plays in the holistic well-being of the student athlete. Because a mentally well student athlete is one who's doing well in academically, who's
Mhm.
doing well in their sport, who's doing well socially, who's got strong relationships with family and friends. So like, and the role that we play is often like it's behind the scenes, so nobody really knows what we're doing,
Mhm.
but it's making a really huge impact. So that support helps. And I know that maybe not all of my colleagues have that type of support, but I'm grateful because it allows me to get things done, it allows us to get things done in the department, and we're really able to make like a bold impact on student athlete well-being. As it pertains to some of the other organizations that I belong to, ASPEN, APA, I think it's really about like those organizations are about growing the field. In 2014, NCAA mandated that all Division One, well, actually all NCAA institutions have student athletes have access to a mental health provider. I think about 2 years ago they revised the best practices,
Mhm.
but it's really not been a long time, right? 2014 was just 12
Mhm.
years ago,
Mhm.
and the field is continuing to grow. Um, and I think there's going to be a lot more work to be done because of all the ever shifting landscape of college athletics. So it's about working with those groups, those organizations to help to grow the field, to help to develop culturally competent, not just,
Mhm.
gender and ethnicity and race and, you know, other competencies like, being a parent or a
Mhm.
veteran or, and certainly understanding sport culture and understanding that like flexibility is important. We have to be flexible because things change by the day, sometimes twice a day in college sports. So I think my work with ASP, it's really important to me to grow the field so that many people can have jobs working in sport and sport adjacent
What do you think
organizations.
if you had a magic crystal ball and you could look ahead to the future, right? Like whether it's 5 years or 50 years, what do you think is coming, right? What's in terms of the field, and then kind of merging these worlds, and then you talk about competency. What would you say is the next thing, right? In terms of not even just division one athletics, but you talk about the professional side. You could talk about NAIA, high school athletics, youth sports. I mean, it's like that spectrum, right? What would you say is coming down the pipeline in the next couple of years or even longer?
I believe that there will be a time when, just like athletic trainers and just like strength and conditioning coaches, we are that integrated into an athletic department. That's going to take some work on a lot of people's part, but I believe that that's coming. I also believe, because technology is, I think I just read something yesterday that said, or I watched it, like from early 1900s until 20, I can't remember, but let's say 2010, whatever advances in technology. So whenever the Model T Ford was invented, whenever that was, early 1900s, till 100 years later, we are on the path to do that level of advancement, 100 years worth, in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
That blows my whole mind.
Yeah.
So with that being said, and this is something that I feel strongly about, using technology to advance, train, and support student athlete performance outcomes, or performance training, using technology to facilitate because I'm only one person. And even if I'm in front of a team, that's still only 30 people, or let's even say 50. So being able to scale what we do is going to become important. I also think that we're going to be in high schools and in youth sport, and any new sport that shows up on the scene. Flag is about to take off. I think that there's a lot of opportunity there, because it's hitting the ground running, and they don't have we used to do it this way, so we don't need you guys. They never use it. It's brand new. So let's start with mental performance at the ready, present, just the way they have sport strength and conditioning coaches and sports medicine staff, mental performance consultants, because there is no we used to do it this way for 50 years.
I also think a lot about opposite, and I did read what you're talking about, that advancement. That's so interesting, right? I think opposite of scaling things at mass is there's this focus on the individual now, right? The holistic person. And I think about the original, as I like to say, the original AI in Philly, right? Allen Iverson.
Yep.
He was, I don't say the first, but probably one of the first in professional sports to really step into his zone and say, this is who I am. I'm an individual, and got a lot of flack for it, right? But then he also set a precedent for being comfortable with who he is, right? And so now I think we have a lot of, whether it's student athletes at the high school levels all the way up to professional athletes. Now they're getting more comfortable being who they are, right, as individuals. And it's interesting because it's like opposite of having to scale everything is that athletes still like to be treated as yep. And I think that is super important as a part of like the culture, right? And understanding like this crossover between the health world and athletics, because it's not just okay, you're my next patient, you're my next client. It's like, no, your name, like, oh, how was your day? And how's your mom doing? Or, it's more personalized, in other words, right?
Oh, people don't do that. People don't do that.
Yeah, and that's part of the athletics world, right? Like they like that personalization, right? That's part of like whether it's an individual sport or a team sport, it's part of that dynamic.
Well, that's important, like, because you mentioned earlier about identity. Like, yes, they are more than their number on their jersey or their Leo, whatever sport they compete in. And it's important for them to like embrace that, because once again, like when we talk about being your wholehearted self, that's when you have better outcomes. You're not trying to fit in, or you're not trying to suppress, or tamp down your fire, your light, so somebody else can feel comfortable. I often talk to student athletes about setting boundaries. And when you don't set boundaries, or when you don't say no, you're actually saying no to somebody. The person you're saying no to is yourself. So you're telling somebody yes, 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 and you're saying, student athletes love to say, but I don't want them to feel bad. And I'm like, well, how do you feel? Like, you're sitting here suffering, you feeling horrible. So you're choosing somebody else's comfort over your own. And so just helping them see some of how being their true and authentic self is the winning strategy in the long run.
Yeah.
And sometimes they get in trouble for doing it, right? Like AI. Yeah. Sometimes it's not received well. Like, you have to understand, like, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine. That's okay.
But then at the end of the day, it's, you could stand on your own 2 feet and be comfortable with who you are, right?
Yeah, at the end of the day. And you still have your people. We're in this kind of a society where everybody wants to be liked.
Yep.
And I often ask student athletes, do you like everybody? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, so why do you think everybody should like you? Like, I love what I do, because sometimes it's just like that simple, like to show them like what you're trying to accomplish. You don't even want it. You don't even do that.
Yeah, that's impactful. I'm gonna let you brag for a minute, because you created TUL, and I'm biased because I'm Temple grad, but what was something after you put together TUL, right? Temple University Wellness Program for athletics realm, like what was something that stood out to you, like the aha moment, like, wow, like I did this and here was like a result of that. Like, here's something you saw that made it worthwhile, like even initially.
Good question. I think, I planned this, I developed the program. So I think that I know like every little piece of TUL. And one of the things that I did from the very beginning was engage coaches. Now, my job was to I was hired to work with student athletes, but once again, that hierarchy, right? And if I'm going to be able to work with student athletes, coaches need to know me, have access to me. I need to be helping them too. And very early on, as in month 2, I started a monthly coaches. Initially, it was like mental health education and mental health literacy,
Mhm.
helping them to, get a better sense of like when somebody's anxious, what's going on, what you can do to help,
Mhm.
what you can do to not make it worse.
Yeah.
Like just giving them some tips and some tools, just awareness and education, and allowing them space to talk about like, I didn't know what to do. Like this happened, and I didn't know what to do on the weekend, and this happened.
Mm.
So every month since I started, basically month 2, we've had these wise sessions for coaches and administrators. And at the time, I just thought I was like giving them something to help them. But I believe it's been really important for the work that we do because they don't just see us when there's a problem. Like they just see us on a Tuesday at X time, and we're giving them something. I don't want anything. I'm not trying to, for the most part, I'm not trying to get them to do anything. I'm just providing them with some kind of a resource, some information, some education, a book, a podcast, or this or that. So it's not just like we are interacting when there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I was really cognizant at the time of how really important that was for, especially for coaches now, as the profession has changed so much,
Mm-hmm.
and people are leaving coaching because, like, for a lot of reasons. I guess I wasn't that aware of how valuable that would be for the work that we do.
Yeah, I think about it using like the phrase like who's helping the helpers, right? Because the focus is always the core is the athletes or the student athletes, but also where does that come from, right? When we talk about scaling, and coaches need to have some tools in their toolbox too to be able to help them, because you're one person, your colleagues are one person, like, and so I think it's good to like put out as many resources as possible, but then also I think that education piece is important because you know, they're going to know either how to respond or who to contact, right? As just two examples.
Absolutely. Sometimes they just walk the kids down. They'll call and say, look, I got this thing going on. I'm going to bring them down. Like that's the stuff that I don't think could happen without like just some of that, like, those touch points. And also I was hired like for student athletes, but the whole athletic department gets to benefit from things that we do. So we do things for everybody, recognizing, yes, student athlete first. Yes, yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But they exist in this environment that needs to be healthy too. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
it's a win-win.
Yeah, that's been important.
Yeah, I'll leave you with the last words. So, what do you want to leave with people, whether it's coaches, athletic administrators, health professionals? Not just because it's Mental Health Awareness Month, but just because this topic area is so important and it's becoming bigger, right? It's part of the broader conversation. So,
yeah, Mitchell Robinson, right? New York Knicks put out last week, like, my mental health is not that good right now, right? Like that to me was so powerful in the middle of, sweeping the Cavs. But they swept the Sixers too, so I can't laugh too hard. Right? But so Mental Health Awareness Month is every month. So I want to put that out there. It's not just in May. Actually, in Temple Athletics, we celebrate or we acknowledge mental health awareness in October because in May everybody's gone. So Mental Health Awareness Month is every month, everybody. I also would like to say to my colleagues in this field, students in this field, when we do this work, it's important to take ourselves out of it. Because what we do is confidential. We don't need to be in it. So I like to say it's not about us. It's about the people, whether it's a team, whether it's a coach, whether it's a student athlete. So That's what I'd like to say to our colleagues. You will do excellent work. I know we all do. I know we all do excellent work. We're all trying to be better at it, but it's not about us. It's about the people who we serve. And then for our student athletes, or just athletes in general, lean into, like, I said it earlier, you're more than an athlete. You're so many things. You're so many things. I know people only want to talk about this one piece of you, but lean into other parts of your identity, right? So that you can be that authentic person, so that you can know, like, I like jazz and I'm 21 years old. And like I'm gonna listen to my jazz, I'm gonna ride with it.
Mhm.
Or
Mhm.
I play volleyball and I like art.
Mhm.
Or I play football and I like art. And I don't see many football players who do art, but I like art. And when they talk to me, I'll say, well, there's this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, and this one. And you should call and look their work up, because you're not the first and you're not going to be the last football player to like art. So lean into these other aspects of your identity, because one of these days your sport, you will retire. After hopefully a very long and injury free and successful career, you will
Mhm.
retire. And what will you do? Well, you'll do your art. That's what you'll do.
Mhm. Super impactful. Stephany, thank you so much. I'm going to leave your contact info on the screen in case anyone wants to reach out with any questions. But I appreciate all the info, and I'm sure everyone else does. So
Thanks, Casey. I really appreciate chatting with you today.